Were you a big Hitchcock guy? Or
Not a Hitchcock fan.
Really?
Yeah. I think he was held back by the times that he worked. I think his movies, I normally don't like the third acts of his movies. Now, some of them I do. Well, Strangers on a Train has a magnificent third act. And this is just my opinion. They oftentimes, they peter out, and he's not quite able to end them like, the way I think he would have. If he was the age he was in the 50s, in the 70s, I think I would appreciate his films more. I think he was really truly held back by the Hays Code. Now, at the same time, he was a clever little bugger. He could use the Hays Code against their own selves from time to time. One of my actually favorite Hitchcock endings seems to be a compromise, but then he subverts the compromise. There's an expression in Hebrew called fuk le fuk, which means like a reverse on a reverse, and he kind of does a fuk le fuk. At the end of the movie Suspicion, if you've ever seen Suspicion, it's with Cary Grant and Joan Fontaine, and the whole idea is Joan Fontaine is thinking, she's married this cad, played by Cary Grant, and little by little she starts thinking that maybe he's trying to kill her. And little by little we're thinking, oh, he's trying to fucking kill her. Well, naturally in the original script, yes, of course he was trying to fucking kill her. But then the Hays goes, no, we can't do that. You can't have Cary Grant actually be a killer. So at the end, it has to be explained that she was wrong. So that plays out. And like it looks like, he's taking her to the cliffs of Dover to throw her off. And then she confronts him, "You're trying to kill me," or whatever. He goes, "What are you talking about? I'm not trying to kill you. But you did this. Well, here's the reason why I did this." I find it completely unconvincing. All right. But she doesn't. And the movie seems to wrap up. And then they get in the car and they drive home. So apparently everything's fine. And Hitchcock ends it with this shot, like they're driving a roadster, it's a convertible roadster. Hitchcock ends it with this shot behind them. And he's driving and she's in the passenger seat and like everything seems okay. And in this really creepy way, Cary Grant puts his arm around her. Oh shit! He's gonna kill her.
Yeah.
He's just talked his way out of it.
Oh, nice.
All right. He's just talked his way. But once he gets her home, he's gonna kill her. Now they don't say that.
Right.
But it's kind of implied by the creepiness of the last shot. And he's fantastic. And Cary Grant made a great villain. He should have played villains more. He's a magnificent villain.
I'm going to watch this tonight.
Oh yeah, it's a good movie. It's really good.
Suspicion?
Hi everyone, I'm John Reddy and thanks for joining me here in the Boneyard. If you're a regular here on the Boneyard, you'll know that I regularly post in the community tab and try to start discussions about films I've just watched. Recently I just posted about a Gary Busey movie, for example, and said, what are your favourite Gary Busey movies? So I like to try and start discussions there, but when I found this clip of Tarantino on Hitchcock, I thought I could share it with us in a video and we could perhaps have a discussion about it that way. I'm a huge Tarantino fan. I don't think you can be a film fan my age and not have noticed the huge impact that Tarantino had on cinema in the 90s. One of my favourite filmmakers is Paul Schrader, and he literally made a movie in a Tarantino-esque style, he called it, when he made Dog Eats Dog. So Tarantino's had a huge impact on all of cinema. And it's very clear that Tarantino has an encyclopedic knowledge of films. So he's bound to reference a lot of films in his work because he's seen so many movies. But I also think that Tarantino contradicts himself a lot. So I was watching Pulp Fiction the other night, and there is literally a scene taken from Psycho. It's not a homage, it's almost exactly the same as what Hitchcock shot. But he says that he doesn't like Hitchcock. And in the clip we just heard, he begins with, "I don't like Hitchcock," and then goes on to say Suspicion is a great movie. And it kind of got me thinking, why does he do this? And I thought I could throw the question out there to everybody in the Boneyard. What is it about him, and why does he do this? He's very outspoken about other filmmakers that he hates. Now, he's also had a lot of hatred thrown his way. I love Nick Broomfield, the documentary filmmaker, for example, and he said that he thinks Tarantino's movies are awful and the violence is too over the top and that it's horrible. Michael Haneke, who made Funny Games, a very violent film, has said that he doesn't like the use of violence in Tarantino's movies. I've always liked Tarantino's movies. I think his use of violence is almost comical. It's almost comic book-like. So I don't take the violence in his movies too seriously, as I don't think he does, you know? It's kind of, the violence in his films is entertaining. And I know that's an unusual way to look at violence, but I think it is. And I think he thinks that way too. And you can hear it in his voice when he talks about violent cinema that he loves, you know? Like the action movies. He loves the Parker movies. He talks about The Outfit very fondly, which is a very violent film, you know? But he loves that stuff, and he kind of parties with the violence in the way that I kind of partied with Romero's films. When I was a teenager, I partied with the violence in Dawn of the Dead. That's kind of the way that I look at the violence in Tarantino's movies. But I think maybe his lashing out at other filmmakers who he obviously likes, because he says Suspicion's a great film. He uses shots from Psycho in his own work. So it got me thinking, is he just hitting back, lashing back at other filmmakers because other filmmakers have had a go at him? What do you all think? I think it's not like a life-changing question, but it's something I've been pondering, and I thought we could have a discussion about it in the comments. So please let me know what you think about this, and why do you think that he lashes out at filmmakers, but he obviously likes them because their influences in his work? Now, I think Hitchcock is one of the most important filmmakers. I love Hitchcock films. He was influential to me in a way that, in the best way filmmakers are influential. He was the first filmmaker I collected. He was the first filmmaker I knew as Alfred Hitchcock, as an Alfred Hitchcock film. His name was above the title. He took total ownership of everything in his movies. I always admired that about him, and I love Hitchcock's movies. And I think you can't deny that he had a even bigger impact on cinema than Tarantino did. So is it Tarantino's ego, perhaps, that makes him kind of pick on these filmmakers that are obviously great filmmakers? Now, I'm not saying that you have to love Hitchcock, because everybody's got their own taste. There's a lot of filmmakers I don't like, as I'm sure all you out there, there's a lot of filmmakers that you don't like as well. But it got me thinking, maybe I feel about Tarantino the same way that he feels about Hitchcock. So I like Tarantino, and I love his technique. I love the way his movies look, but I don't always like his movies. I'm not a big fan of Hateful Eight, for example, but I am a huge fan of Reservoir Dogs' Jackie Brown. Yeah, I love Kill Bill 2. I'm not such a fan of Kill Bill 1, but I love the way that his movies look, and I watch them as visual treats. I watch them because I enjoy the way that they look, but I don't always like his movies. Maybe that's what Tarantino means about Hitchcock. Maybe he's saying, I love Hitchcock's techniques, but I don't like Hitchcock's movies. What do you all think? Let me know in the comments below, and let's have a discussion about it. And also, let me know if you like this kind of video format, and we can kind of throw things out there more often and have discussions. If you do like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.